A mistake I made was staying at a job too long. Now, in 2023, I had my son and I needed a job. And so a tech company reached out to me, offered me a contract. I took it. I was very grateful because I needed to work. Fast forward, I want to say around month 5 or so, things started to get weird with management. Well, it was always kind of weird with, them pinging and dinging you every second. If you got up from your computer, if you didn't respond in 2 minutes, they were like, where were you? It just became more of like a thing where I would get anxiety, like if I had to go into my kitchen to get something to drink. And so that was starting to really get on my nerves. And during that time, they actually had laid a bunch of people off, but some people on my team and myself still remained. And then after that, they said, well, if people want to move up in management or become supervisors, we're not going to pay any extra. However, it will basically give you an opportunity to be visible within the company. When something comes about, then we will obviously do our best to promote you. So around month 7 or so, I say, okay, I'll do it. Went through the training, all that stuff, end up managing, I want to say it was like a team of 16 people. Worst mistake ever. I did not have any peace whatsoever. Everyone had a problem. Computer didn't work, couldn't submit their timesheet. It was just a huge, huge headache. On top of the fact, I started to do my regular job, and then I was also managing people that I was not getting paid for. Around month 8, another company reached out to me and offered me a job, one paying more money, and then offered me to make my own hours. And I said no, because first of all, I'm like, how did you even get my phone number? And they said they went through a list trying to find their competitors, and my name was on that list. I was like, my name and my phone number? Like, how did you get my phone number? So I didn't really trust it. And I'm like, okay, no. Shh. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not gonna go with you guys. They called me again like 2 weeks after that, say, hey, just checking in. Are things good for you over there? If not, we want to bring you over here. I said no again. Meanwhile, my job was getting super stressful. I had a lot of stuff going on at home. As I mentioned before, my husband has health issues, so he was in and out of the doctor. He also had surgery that year. It was a lot going on. My son was at home and has been at home with me since he was born, so he was sitting in this room with me while I'm working. It was chaos, complete chaos. And I think it's different when you're not actually managing people and you're kind of like left alone to do your job. But when people are pinging and dinging you all day long, then it becomes an issue. So fast forward, my daughter was graduating from preschool, and I'm like, okay, Dad, like I have to be there. When you work contract jobs, you don't particularly get any time off. Any time off that you take, you have to either make up to make your 40-hour week, or you just get doctor pay. And so I was like, okay, well, I need my 40 hours, so I'm gonna work late, and then I'll just work out, the rest. I'll work out the rest of it. And at that same time that I was going to my daughter's school, I was being switched to another team. I was still managing the people I was managing, but I was being switched to another team. Um, and so, long story short, the day that I go to her graduation, the person who then was now in charge of me sent me a message when I got back to my computer, and she was like, where were you? Who gave you permission to leave? It was like a very nasty message. I was promised as I was transitioning to this next team, because I didn't know any of them, that the time that I need to be away that day was going to be passed along. And when you're in work chat, sometimes you don't get added to that particular chat until the day you're actually on that team. So there was no way for me to even communicate with them. But the person who I was under at the time said, oh, don't worry, we're staying everything over. Don't worry about it, enjoy the graduation. But when I got back to my computer, I had this nasty message from this lady. And when I tell you, fire went through my head, because I was just thinking, like, who in the do you think that you are? That was the first thing. The second thing was like, I'm about to go off on this lady. I was already stressed. I'm already underpaid. I'm already managing people, not getting paid what I should be getting paid. And in that moment, I said to myself, I should have taken that other job. I should have taken it. The second, and this is no lie, the second I said that to myself, the recruiter called me from that job and he said, hey, I just want to check in with you. I'm not going to bother you anymore, but something just, I just want to reach out to you one more time. We would love to have you over here. Let me know if you want to come over and I can get everything started. We can go through the process, talk about it. And to get even to work at this company, I had to take a test. And it was a long test. And I'm like, and I told him on the phone, I'm not taking that test. I'm burnt out. When I get off of work in the evening, I don't have time to get on my computer and take a test. It's going to take me, probably 3 days or maybe 5 days to complete. He said, don't worry about the test. I'll reach out to them and tell them that you took it. So I didn't take the test. They paid me more money and I was able to make my own hours. And I think back on it and I'm like, I was a fool. I was going to stay at this job. Being underpaid, being undervalued, doing more work just because it was comfortable. Like it was the first job I had after having him. And it was comfortable to know, okay, when I had a job, I survived the first round of layoffs. Like they liked me and I was a fool. So I'm saying all that to say, don't stay someplace too long. If you are afforded another opportunity to go someplace and do something that's going to be beneficial to you, beneficial to your peace, beneficial to your family, go do it. Go do it. Because I was a fool. And I'm just wondering, have any of you ever been in that situation where you stayed someplace too long, but by the grace of God, you still were able to get to where you need to get to?